Okay. All right. You know what? I think I get it now. G'day, BookTube. You're here with Nick, the Renaissance Bookman, and I'm excited because I have finally read Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, and I am stoked to say that the wait was worth it. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that this book will be for you. Hang around for my spoiler-free review. I'll explain what worked for me, but ultimately why I don't think I'm going to be recommending this book to everyone who is silly enough to ask me, so what have you been lately? Piranesi first entered my world back in 2024 when my mate Phil over at Phil Got Books rated this as S tier. I promptly ran out and purchased it, but it's been wallowing away on my physical TBRs, sitting below like 30 odd books for the better part of 12 months. Now, I've just finished the multi POV, epic, Norse inspired fantasy trilogy, The Bloodsworn Saga by John Gwynne. And I'll be honest, I needed a little bit of a palate cleanser to wash away some of the vengeance and bloodstains that Orca had managed to splash off the pages all over me. Enter Piranesi. Plus, I asked my community, my small, very small, but slightly increasing community, what book that I should read next. And my number one fan at this point in time, JTK Basketball, recommended Piranesi. Whether they meant to or not, they also gave me what I perceived as a slight compliment in that recommendation. Now, I didn't think I would be so fickle to change my reading habits as a result of a subtle compliment. I mean, who am I kidding? Of course I'm that fickle. So here I am, having read Piranesi. Now, I cannot emphasize enough just how different Piranesi is in comparison to my recent reads. So where Shadow of the Gods is all rage and vengeance and plot focused, bouncing from one brutal fight scene to adrenaline-fueled conflict to the next. Piranesi, by contrast, it's a slow, meandering walk through an art gallery with your frail old grandmother who talks really slowly and quietly, so you have to lean in to make sure you're picking up all the wisdom that she's imparting. It's delicate. It's beautiful, and Phil, I totally understand what you mean when you say that Piranesi is whimsical. If you're able to slow down and just alter your expectations slightly, this will be a really rewarding read. The book itself follows our protagonist, who currently goes by the name Piranesi. There are only two people living in this seemingly never-ending grand building with these expansive marble halls and giant staircases and vestibules and thousands of really expressive and emotive marble statues lining the walls. It's a three-storied building with the top level with clouds floating in and out. The bottom level has got these tidal waves floating on through that have got a never-ending supply of fish and seaweed to nourish you and provide everything that you need. And then 100% of the people, too, and the occasional bird are living on the middle level. As Susanna Clarke described the world, the only building that I had ever been in that was as grand and as emotive was the Palace of Versailles. And those grand, regal rooms are exactly what I was picturing. I think that's the level of reverence that Clarke is trying to build in the way that she describes her world. So whilst this book is probably best described as a fantasy novel, the thousands of statues that line the walls appear to almost communicate with Piranesi. They have emotions. They become a friend to him, which gives off huge magical realism vibes. So the writing style that Clarke uses is also super unique. We are told the story through a whole bunch of journal entries. This will be the second book that I've read like in the last 12 months where we're using journal entries to explore the world. Yet this one was distinctly different. What I love is that because of the respect that he has for the house, whenever a characteristic of the house is mentioned, it's given a proper noun. House, for example, capital H. Walls, capital W. Staircase, capital S. Column, rain, fish, everything that belongs to or was provided by the house gets a proper noun when Piranesi writes about it. And this just highlights how peculiar Piranesi himself is. He comes across as this mixture of innocence and naivety. In certain scenes, you're almost wondering, is he neurodivergent? But then as you get to know him a little bit better, understand why and how it is that he's there, you realize just how well put together this guy actually is, given the circumstances. And Piranesi is fastidious with his note-taking, which means at times it can be a little bit dull. It can be a little bit dry. And that's why this book will not be for everyone. He goes through and chronicles every single person that has ever lived in the house. And so he outlines all 13 remains that he has found in the house, where they are, and his theories about who they are and what they were. It's peculiar, it's slow-paced, but it's also really beautiful. But as we dive into this world and we learn more about the tasks that Piranesi is undertaking and how he catalogues and chronicles everything that he comes across, this unnerving tension starts to build that I've only really experienced recently in the TV show Severance, where slowly he becomes a little bit more self-aware occasionally, and then other times he seemingly undergoes a huge memory loss and is just completely oblivious to the fact that he is living in a very unusual setting that is not normal to us. And it has us constantly asking the question, why is Piranesi in this house? Who put him there? Who or what is the puppet master that is keeping him here? Or is he there by choice? Is this his own doing? And so as you explore the mystery, Clarke leaves you these little Easter eggs, little moments where you can find meaning. The way in which Piranesi observes a statue, for example, actually tells you a lot about him as a person. Perhaps it tells you about the other person that is living here or what is to come. And it's really quite difficult because if you don't pick up on those things, or even if you don't write them all down and then look back on it and see the way that she led you to the final climax, then you'll miss a lot of those. But one of the real peculiar things, and this one's really, really quite obvious, but Piranesi inexplicably goes from using the Gregorian calendar into something that is really unique that he himself has made up. And so this is Piranesi exactly as he writes it in his journal. Reading over what I've just written, I've realised something. I have used 2 systems to number the years. How could I have not noticed this before? I am guilty of bad practice. Only one system of numbering is needed. 2 introduces confusion, uncertainty, doubt, and muddle, and is aesthetically unpleasing. In accordance with the first system, I have named 2 years, 2011 and 2012. This strikes me as deeply pedestrian. Also, I cannot remember what happened 2,000 years ago which made me think that year a good starting point. According to the system, I have given the years names like the year I named the constellations and the year I counted and named the dead. I like this much more. It gives each year a character of its own. This is the system that I shall use going forward. And so in this, we see clear as day that something is off. Like, this is not okay. This is no longer a fantasy, but probably a portal fantasy with shades of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where we are connected to the real world in some way. And Piranesi doesn't remember that, or he doesn't know that. At some stage he did. He was aware of the standard Gregorian calendar and he was using it. Not anymore. The statues themselves are also this constant foreboding reminder that something really sinister is at play. This next passage that I'm going to read, it's a little bit long, stick with me, I'll truncate it as best as I can. But for those that have read the book, as I read this, you'll be like, cool, I forgot that. I completely missed that. And it's not enough that it'll give away to someone who hasn't yet read it. I entered the second northeastern hall, and as happened in the 9th vestibule, I found it full of small birds of different sorts. I recalled that on a previous occasion, this behaviour had been the preface to a message. I watched carefully what they did next. Now, skipping down a fair bit, supposing my hypothesis to be correct, this is certainly the most elaborate communication that the birds have offered me. What is the meaning? An angel with a trumpet and a ship. Well, an angel and a trumpet suggests a message. A joyful message, perhaps? But an angel might also bring a stern or solemn message. The ship suggests travelling long distances, messages coming from afar. A book and clouds, well, a book contains writing. Clouds hide what is there. Writing that is somehow obscure. A child and mice. Well, the child represents the quality of innocence, and the mice are devouring the grain. Little by little, it is diminished. Innocence that is worn down or eroded. So this, as far as I can tell, is what the birds told me. A message from afar, obscure writing, innocence eroded. Interesting. And so this is the type of prose that we have, and the way that Piranesi is journaling to himself, reflecting on everything that's going on around him, and the way in which Clarke is leaving little Easter eggs about what is to come. And the final Easter egg that I will call out, just because I really quite liked it, it's the one really clear and obvious pop culture reference that Clarke leaves for us. And I think this gives us a little bit of insight into one of the real key literary influences that she has had in her life and in her writing style, and I can see it. So Piranesi describing to us the statues that he likes in the building. It is the statue of a faun, a creature half man and half goat, with a head of exuberant curls. I dreamt of him once. He was standing in a snowy forest and speaking to a female child. Now, this faun is quite clearly Mr. Tumnus and the child Lucy from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And it is clear this is the one really, really obvious pop culture reference. And C.S. Lewis is undoubtedly a heavy literary influence for Susanna Clarke. Piranesi reads exactly like a C.S. Lewis novel, like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or one of the Narnian classics. For those that have been following my channel for a little while, you'll understand that each night I've been reading the Chronicles of Narnia with my 5-year-old daughter. We started right back with The Magician's Nephew, and we are reading them in chronological order. We're 3/4 of the way through Prince Caspian at this point in time. Each night we grab our little torchlight, jump in the room, close the door, turn the light off, jump under the covers, and we read via torchlight one chapter a night and talk about what it is that we've read. It's easily my most precious time of the day. It's really beautiful. And because I'm slowing down, and will often read sections twice because my daughter might be not yet able to understand exactly what's going on, I get the time to really slow down and have that meandering walk with my grandmother that Clarke tries to take us on, the innocence that Clarke portrays in Piranesi, and the underlying themes of faith and hope and gratitude and the sanctity of nature run in unison with what Lewis produces in his Chronicles of Narnia. Despite the imagery that she provided us being from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I actually think it's the characters out of The Magician's Nephew that I see the most similarities in. She even gives us a quote right at the start of the book from The Magician's Nephew. And it reads, "I am the great scholar, the magician, the adept who is doing the experiment. Of course, I need subjects to do it on." And for those that have read the story, you will understand immediately why I'm drawing that out. And for those that haven't, I will say no more about that particular quote. So despite there being so few characters, the conversations are brilliant. Despite us being trapped inside a single building, the world evokes genuine emotion. So why wouldn't I recommend this book alongside The Will of the Many, Red Rising, Dungeon Crawler Carl, and the Mistborn novels? In fear of sounding pretentious, this book is for someone who wants to slow down, who wants to appreciate the mundane, to reflect on their own lives and try and figure out when it is they lost their innocence, and just to see the beauty of the world around them. If you're someone that needs a plucky uprising, a vengeance tour, or even a coming-of-age story, this book is probably not going to be for you, and I'd say don't read it. And that's okay. That doesn't make you a less of a reader or anything like that. There is no pecking order when it comes to reading. Just because you read Dickens does not mean you're better than someone that just loves to nerd out on Matt Dinniman's Dungeon Crawler Carl. Life is too short to dwell on art that doesn't speak to you. And that's okay. Never let anyone try and talk down to you or make you feel bad for not enjoying a particular novel. I was ready for this because of the fast-paced, action-orientated book that John Gwynne created. As I said, I needed that palate cleanser, and I was ready to sort of slow down because of how quickly I flew through those 3 books. I was ready for something slower paced, and this was perfect. So let me know in the comments below, was this slow, meandering walk for you? Or like some, did you just kind of find it a little bit meh? I totally understand each way. If you were someone who really liked this, what metaphor or imagery really stuck out to you? I'm interested to know. Until next time, ciao.